Hello, back again. A specific request of my daughter, Daddy, could you just explain us the difference between Stradivari and Guarneri? So, then I wanted to make one video about this, and no, she wants one video about the Guarneri and one video about the Stradivari. Okay, so we start with the Guarneri, okay? From this distance, you don't see the details. You just saw a slight difference between one was very brown, the other one was too red, probably via the computer it gets too red. Anyhow, Stradivari was very consistent and was starting very early in his life, and he became also extremely old. Extremely over 90 years old, and this was probably the biggest secret of Stradivari. And those times, getting over 40 years was already a miracle. Guarneri, I have to read in my books how old he became, but he didn't become as old as Antonio. And for a long time I heard always Guarneri was only doing everything he did in 10 years. Now then you open the first book and then it's 1720 something and then 1744, so he was working already 20 years. So and then he was a disaster and the other one was the brave one. And it's two different types, two different styles of working. And when Nina said I should make now this video, or these two videos, she saw her father a little bit in the problem. I took out all the books, how could I explain it and everything. It is indeed, there is huge differences, and we maker. Once you made a Guarneri, then you see other ones, not every Guarneri is the same way how it is made. But you can recognize it. But there are still some Guarneris, when you look at them, you say, oh, this is pretty different. Especially the very first ones are very classic when it comes to the kind of scroll. Especially the proportions of the scroll in the front. The more he kept on working, the more the second turn, this one goes in. And the very first Guarneris are very similar to a Stradivari, so they are very equilibrated. This one is more out. This one is a 1744, it's the Guarneri Sainton. So this is a very late Guarneri. A very early one has a scroll similar to equilibrated to the rest makers of Cremonese makers, okay? So we immediately have to say, okay, we can't see it from the scroll. Again, from the side view of the scroll, the late ones are a lot the scroll in a small area. It's all rolling in a small area here, and here it is a mass of wood. And then this one is very, let's say, a nice development here with quite a large area here. It's somehow, you could say, okay, you can tell it's hundreds of years ago that it has been made. The early ones were more brave, and again, you have difficulties to see it. So now probably you will say, so why do you just point out all the things we cannot see? But I just wanted to say that on the scroll, generally speaking, it's very difficult to judge if it's a Guarneri, okay, since we're now talking about the Guarneri. So let's go to the body itself. One of the very first things we can talk about are the F-holes. And the Guarneri Sainton has two F-holes. I think on this specific model it looks a little bit like a guinea pig. These very close eyes on the upper part, and then it's very inclined, okay, the F-holes. And then you have the upper and lower part, they drilled the F-holes and then they just cut it in between. And the open area here is very let's say, narrow, then becomes quite regularly large in the middle area, in the middle of the F hole, and then back again gets together. So it's cute, but if you take a little bit while and look them both, you also see that both F holes, you know, among violin makers here in town, they say one should be more equal to the other one. In case of Guarneri, you could just tell that he didn't mind, he didn't take care, it was not a question of importance to him to make one more equal to the other. Yeah? He just cut it to F holes because you needed them, okay? And the more we go on, the more they are inclined here, and the very early ones have a more shorter F hole. So again, it's a little bit difficult. I wouldn't only rely on the F holes, but the F holes are already pretty much a detail where you have to take a little bit time and just, when you look at them, don't judge by the F hole, but by looking at them, soak them in, look at, and you don't have to force yourself, you know, you just look at it, and then later on somebody tells you what it is, and then okay, and then next time you see a different one, and you okay, and then slowly you get trained. You don't have to force yourself. By looking at one violin, you don't become a violin expert, okay? But just take your time and look at these F holes just as they would be two eyes of a person you're talking to, okay? This here, then generally speaking, I would say the varnish itself is a little bit more brownish. This is from the top side, and now we twist it over to the back. And here you can see it better. You certainly can see it also on the top, but on the top it's spruce and the wood itself is consuming too much. When we talk about the corners here, beside the outside, which can certainly be adjusted from somebody afterwards, inside you have the purfling, which is generally speaking a very narrow purfling and not very precisely cut, so you see a lot of mistakes, let's say, tiny small holes, and he just bumped it in, and he didn't pay too much attention of how they meet each other, the one from the C and the other parts. And then the channel here carved meets the other channel a little bit like the brain part of the roof here at the corner. Once you will see the video of a Stradivari, you will see that this is a very mellow floating here, while on the Guarneri it is rather like this. Real Guarneri has the fluting like this, okay? So this is about purfling, narrow. Approximately the black, the white and the black, the thickness is more or less the same, okay, on the Guarneri. On the Stradivari, the white in the middle is much larger. Yeah? And now that you're staring at this instrument here, and you might see the whole C here, you can also see that it is typical for Guarneri that this C is quite open. And it seems even that the upper part is similar to the lower part. On the Stradivari, this is not the same. So you will see on a Stradivari it has a completely different shape. So somehow it seems that this here, the C here on the Guarneri, is much larger, similar like the F hole, which is much longer, on the Guarneri than on the Stradivari. And generally speaking, it seems that Guarneri is smaller in its dimensions, which is not really correct, but let's say the differences between upper measurements C and lower is more equal or more the same measurements, while on the Stradivari it could be that it's here wider, here more narrow, and here wider again. Yeah. The length of the instruments are more or less all the same. The Stradivari, the Guarneri, 35.5, 0.6. but not more, actually rather smaller. Nowadays people are believe that it has to be 35.5, but if you look into the books, you will actually see that most Guarneris and Stradivarius have a measurement of 35.2, something like this. Let's have a look into the book. Guardiamo nel libro. Up. Here we have the book. I'm quite sure that nowadays the measurement of violin dealers is focusing a lot on the length of a standard measurement, while actually the length here, the first in 1727, the Guarneri d'Ancla has 35.4, and then we take one in the middle here, the Kemp 1738, we are already on 35.25, the length, and then we go to the very last ones here, and then let's see here, Le Duc 1745, 35.4, so okay, we cannot say that he became shorter over the years. 35.2 in 1744, the Ole Bull, so there is no, he didn't measure, he just made it, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video as well and you learned something new regarding the Guarneri, and we see us for the next video talking about the Stradivari. Bye bye!